There's a moment, and if you've ever worked in a theater, you know exactly the moment I'm talking about. But there's a moment where the building is empty and the work lights are on and the stage is bare and you're standing in the house looking at nothing. And nothing is the most exciting thing in the world because nothing means next. Welcome back, theater talkers. Here we go again.
Gotta say like, don't speak for a minute, close your eyes, let it be, and say like, it ain't all about what you sing, it's the moments in between. Sometimes you gotta say like.
This is an unapologetic episode for our opening of season 2 of Theater Talk. So I'm Bleu Do'zia, founding artistic director of Selah Theater Project. And if you're new here, hi. If you're not new here, hi. And thanks for coming back because I took the whole summer off from this microphone and I have a lot to catch you up on. Here's the thing about summer at a theater company. People assume it's the slow season. People assume we all go to the beach and come back tan and rested. And that's just not true. We don't magically reappear in September with a clipboard. Let me tell you what actually happened this summer. We ran a cabaret intensive. We ran an entire flock of themed camps back to back. Fairy tale mashup, murder mystery, villains, Shrek Junior mini musical, Beauty and the Beast mini musical. And we had a conversation with our kiddos that have aged out of our program, and they have convinced me to start an Aged Out Ensemble for next summer for ages 18 to 25 alumni. So it has been the most fulfilling, thrilling, and exciting summer. With Cabaret, we did it with a group of teens and college students, ages 16 and up, and it was intense. First of all, the space we were supposed to be in decided not to host us. So we ended up cramming ourselves over at Stone Branch Center for the Arts in Front Royal, Virginia on Main Street. And it was a huge success. The beauty about that whole intensive was the ensemble created a goal for themselves. And anybody who knows the story of Cabaret knows that it is a story that is relevant to now in the eyes of where our nation is. And Cabaret has a very hard ending for Act 1. It's not one of those endings where the audience will naturally want to applaud. So the ensemble had this goal, and the goal was to simply finish Act 1 with a huge bang and not have the audience applaud at all. Opening night came. Nerves are high in the air. This is a hard show for young actors to put on because of all of the intensity and the political aspects of it. And their goal was achieved. At the end of Act 1, the lights went down. The kids went off stage. The house lights came up and the audience didn't move. Not one sound, not 1 inch. They didn't move. A collective feeling of sadness, anger, fear, all of this collective feeling that was achieved by an ensemble of teens ages 16 to 19. I went backstage to check on the kiddos and they were like, "Do you hear that?" They were excited for the silence. because the silence meant that they did their job well. And it blew me away that each and every single performance, Act One ended the exact same way every single time. So our summer was packed. And not only that, we've been in rehearsals for the past month for Come From Away. Come From Away is our opening show in our new location at the Vivienne L. Jackson Sanctuary for the Arts. And it is opening in September with our very first adult community musical comprised of a total of 14 wonderful human beings that have come together to tell this story. We're building a season. All summer long, we were building the season. And not just season 15. We're currently mapping seasons out to 2030. And I'll say more about that later because it's a little bit unhinged, and yet I'm very proud of it. And we're opening a building. So no, nobody went to the beach. At least I didn't. But here's what I want to say before we go any further. And I want it to be said plainly. Because it's the whole season. I wanted to sit down and do this episode as a welcome back instead of just posting a season announcement everywhere and calling it a day. I am sitting in gratitude because 15 seasons, 15. When I started this company, the goal was to create a community theater that wasn't necessarily doing hard work, let alone work for ages 18 to 50. And I was in that age range myself. I started out with a children's production of a show that I wrote, and with a tiny shoestring budget and a whole lot of faith from parents, we made that show happen. Well, the kids grew up and the parents had more time on their hands. And so I started gaining parents as actors. And within this 15 years, we have built a community in a small town that didn't necessarily have a home for the type of work that we do. And that was it. That was my whole business plan. Make the work that matters, make it unapologetically, and see who shows up. And the honest truth is, you all showed up. And now we have a building with a name on the door and a season with 8 main stage shows and a youth conservatory and a community program. And I'm sitting in front of a microphone telling you about it. First of all, with Cabaret, we all signed a company conduct agreement so that every single person in the room knew what the standards were in writing, and signed consent forms for the material and the staging and intake process. So we knew who we had and what they needed, not to protect ourselves from the parents, but to include the parents. There is a difference and it matters. And the rest was a company of young people who had to handle material that they knew was true. It turns out that our teenagers are not fragile. Turns out they're starving for someone to treat them like true artists. And then our weekly camps. This was the first time that I did not teach all of the weekly camps. And I'm very grateful to my teaching artists that stepped in to make this summer a little bit more chill for me. We did have to cancel 2 summer camps because we just didn't have enough enrollment, but that's okay. I think arts organizations should be honest about what doesn't work, and it didn't fill. So, we moved on. That's not a failure. That's just data. But the other summer camps were filled with wonderful young and younger artists that wanted to come together and do something super cool and shape who they are bit by bit. So that was the summer. Now on September 11th, 2026, we are hosting Come From Away. 38 planes were ordered out of the sky and landed in a town in Newfoundland with a population of about 9,000. 7,000 strangers appeared overnight after the horrific tragedy that happened on September 11th, 2001. And this town fed all of those that came off of the planes. Selah Theater Project opens season 15 and opens our new home with Come From Away. It's a true story about the days after the worst day and about what ordinary people did when there was no plan and no instruction and nobody coming to help. 90 minutes, no intermission. 15 actors, 100 characters, one of the most staggering pieces of musical theater written in this century. Come From Away is opening on September 11th, 2026 at the Vivienne L Sanctuary for the Arts. And we couldn't be more excited. And if you haven't already, you should probably grab your tickets at selahtheaterproject.org/season. Come From Away and come sit down. All right. So season 15, the theme is We Are Rooted. I want to explain why, because the theme is not decoration. The theme is the argument. For 15 seasons, this company has been, in a very real sense, irritant. We made work wherever we could make work. We borrowed spaces, rented spaces, spaces that were generous to us and spaces that tolerated us. And you can do extraordinary things that way. We did. But you're always a guest. This is the first season in our own house. We are rooted. That's not a metaphor. That's an address. So here's the season front to back. September, we're doing Come From Away. I already explained that to you. October, we're doing Clue, because after you make everybody cry in September, you owe them a farce in October. It's fast, it's funny, it's a machine, and it's genuinely one of the hardest things in the season to execute. Comedy is all about engineering. November, Pearly Victorious by Ozzie Davis, a satire that is somehow still 60 plus years later, aiming directly at the present time. Sharp, joyful, furious, and very funny. This is the show I'll be talking about in interviews with a slightly manic look in my eye. In December, I wrote a play called Miracle on Braddock Street. It is named after the street that our new theater is on. And I'm not going to pretend to be objective about this one. A brand new holiday show, born in this town, set in this town, premiering in a building on the street in the title. That's the whole pitch. That's 15 seasons in one sentence. And we come back in January with a youth production workshop, and we are doing Spamalot Young at Part. Our young artists will be working with us on Saturday mornings and prepping for their January 23rd through the 25th performances. In February, we have The Elephant Man by Del Martin, a play about who we decide counts as human and what we're willing to do to the people we've decided don't. It's issue-driven theater, and this is the spine of what we do. The best part about this particular script is that the energy of who the Elephant Man is bounces from ensemble member to ensemble member. It's a heavily ensemble piece. In March, we're back with another youth production, The Very Strange Dream of Alice M. Who, which is another piece that I wrote for my kiddos. It's part of our new Upstage Acting Academy for our youth company. And it's a brand new play premiered by our young artist. And it's not just a junior version of something, not a cut down. It's an original work that will exist in the world because of a group of wonderful young artists putting it there first. It is Alice in Wonderland rewritten in Dr. Seuss form. So it's kind of whimsical and crazy and wild. And every time I think about it, I just see spirals going in my head. April, we're bringing back the infamous Ruth's Tea Room, which is another piece that I wrote. It is a revival of, which I know it sounds like a contradiction, but it's mine. It's been produced and it's being rebuilt from the ground up. Same bones, new body. It is in honor of our first season at the Vivienne L. Jackson Sanctuary for the Arts, in honor of the real Miss Vivienne. Ruth's Tea Room is a piece of the heart and spirit of how we ended up in the exact sanctuary where Miss Vivienne worshipped and sang and took care of so many people beyond her cafe. We also have our scholarship dinner. The Larry Lamar Yates Memorial Scholarship Fund hosts every April the Work Continues Scholarship Dinner. And my daddy comes up from Georgia and he caters the event, Chef Do'zia. And it is a grand time. And we're doing some new things for this dinner. We are surprising some wonderful human beings that deserve to be surprised. And we are honoring Miss Vivienne. It's going to be a great time, but that's in April. And we're back in May for our last show of the season, Noises Off. We closed the season with the funniest play ever written about how theater actually works, which after 15 seasons feels less like a comedy and more like a documentary. 8 main stage productions, 3 world premieres, 1 world premiere revival in our first season in our building. I'd like to formally apologize to my production team. Listen, if you just heard all 8 of those and thought, I want all of that, there is an easier way to do this than buying 8 separate tickets 8 separate times. 8 shows, 1 season, 1 building, all of ours. Season 15 at Selah Theater Project, we are rooted. Come From Away in September, Clue in October, Pearly Victorious in November, the world premiere of Miracle on Braddock Street in December, a brand new holiday play named for the street is performed on. Then Elephant Man in February, the world premiere of Very Strange Dream of Alice M. Who in March, the world premiere revival of Ruth's Tea Room in April, and we close in May with Noises Off. Season subscriptions are on sale now. Best seats, best price, and you never have to think about it again. Please check it out at selahtheaterproject.org/season pass. Selah Theater Project, unapologetic art now with an address. Okay, the building. I know, you're waiting for the building. The Vivienne L. Jackson Sanctuary for the Arts at 302 North Braddock Street in Winchester, Virginia. We call it VLJ for short. It is the first building in the city that is named after a Black woman. I want to let that sit for a second because when I say it out loud in a room, there's always a pause. And the pause is the point. In a city this old, a city with this much history, this much preserved architecture, this many names carved into many facades, this first one, that's not a fun fact. That's a correction. So the word in the name that I want to talk about first is sanctuary, because we chose it deliberately and we asked about it. And I'll tell you what we mean and what we don't. Sanctuary does not mean comfortable. If you come to a Selah Theater show expecting comfortable, you have wandered into the wrong building and there's a lovely coffee shop nearby. Sanctuary means protected. It means this is a room where an artist can make a dangerous thing safely. When a 16-year-old can play a role that scares them and know the adults around them have built the guardrails. When an audience can sit in the dark and have their assumptions taken apart, and nobody's going to humiliate them for having held those assumptions in the first place. Safety for the making, not safety for the material. That's the distinction. That's the whole house. Now, practically, what is VLJ operationally? Three things at once. One, it's Selah's home, well established. Two, it's Upstage's home, classes, camps, rehearsals, which means our young artists are training in the same building where the main stage work happens. They walk past the set of Pearly Victorious on their way to a Thursday night class. That proximity does something for a young artist that no curriculum can replicate. And speaking of Thursday night class, hold that thought for about 15 seconds because that's the next thing I want to tell you about. Our fall classes begin in September. Parents, this one is for you. Selah Theater has a new academy called Upstage Acting Academy. Classes begin in September at the Vivienne L Sanctuary for the Arts in Winchester. Real training, acting, voice, movement, and production taught by working theater artists in a working theater in the same building where our main stage season is made. We are not babysitting service with jazz hands. We treat young people like artists because they are. Classes are available across age ranges, including our center stage, ages 7 to 9, our junior stage, ages 10 to 12, our senior stage, ages 13 to 18, and our production workshop, which we are doing Spam-A-Lot, Young at Part, for ages 10 to 19. Everyone deserves an artistic home, and this is one. Scholarship support is also available. If cost is the reason you're hesitating, come talk to us. That's what scholarship funding is for. Registration is open now at selahtheaterproject.org/UAA. Classes begin on September 3rd, and spots are limited, and they do fill up quickly. Selah Theater's Upstage Acting Academy, where young artists get taken seriously. So that's two of the three things VLJ is. Selah's home and Upstage's home. Here's the third, and this is the part I most want you to hear. VLJ is an independent venue, and it is open to you. It is not just Selah Theater's building. It was never going to be. We spent 15 seasons knowing exactly what it feels like to need a room and not have one, to have the show, have the company, have the audience, and be missing the four walls. I'm not going to build a building and then become the gatekeeper I spent 15 years going around. So if you are a dance company or a music ensemble, a film series, a spoken word collective, a touring artist, a church group, a nonprofit that needs a place to hold a gathering, VLJ is available for you. And we've built a curation committee so that programming decisions aren't just me and my taste. There's a charter. There's an application, there's an open call, because a community venue curated by one person is just that person's living room with better seating. We are currently looking for people to fill the room as our curation committee and being a part of that. This group helps decide the programming that goes into the building. If you want a hand in that and what the city gets to see, this is an opportunity for that. Now, we're not going to be sticklers and gatekeepers, but we will create and craft seasons beyond season 15 that is inviting and welcoming to any arts organization or individuals or persons that want or need an artistic home. We're becoming a cultural hub, and that is the point. So if you're looking for that opportunity, hit me up, blue@selahtheaterproject.org. I'd love to have that conversation with you and have you join our curation committee. because VLJ Sanctuary means that the door is open. All right. So new adventures, rapid fire, because there are a lot and I want you to know that they all exist. Season 15, Upstage Acting Academy, the Larry Lamar Yates Memorial Scholarship Dinner is on our calendar. And that is funding scholarships so that the ability to pay is never a reason a young artist doesn't train with us. And at the dinner, we are launching a community theater award, 15 awards across 4 categories, honoring the people in this region who make this work possible and almost never get named for it. We have a special honoree that doesn't know who they are. So, surprise, surprise. Partnerships. We are in active conversation with multiple groups across the Shenandoah Valley. But if you have an organization or you have a business that you want to be in partnership with us, please reach out to us. We'd love to talk to you and figure out innovative ways to incorporate our theater company with what it is that you do. Another part of what we're creating is a pipeline, a new play development pipeline. VLJ is going to be a place where new work is made, not just presented. 15 seasons of producing my own premieres taught me exactly how few rooms there are for playwrights in the Shenandoah Valley. And we definitely need a safe place. I want this to be one of them. I am working with an incredible human being named Patty Ray, who is a playwright herself, who has opened up her own venue further up in the valley. And that is her entire goal, which is to create and help playwrights create new work. And in that sense, we would love to be able to present those works at the VLJ. So I'm working with Miss Patty on that. And I actually should invite Miss Patty Ray for a theater talk because she is just an amazing human being to sit and have an artistic conversation with. We are bringing back the Colored Patriot in a Civil War courtroom. And it is about the story of Thomas Laws, an enslaved man who spied for the Union. And Ida B. Wells serves as his defense counsel, and the audience seated is the jury. And it performs August 28th through the 30th. Yes, you are the jury. Yes, that means something different every night. So that's the adventure list. And I have probably skipped things, and there are things on the 2027 to 2030 plan that I have not mentioned at all. But I do want to bring it home for you all. Within these 15 seasons, this was a very stubborn idea that I had 15 years ago. The idea was that a small city deserves difficult, beautiful, unapologetic work, that you don't have to drive 2 hours to a bigger place to be taken seriously as an audience member, that young artists can be artists right now, not just artists in waiting, that the work should look like the community it's made in. And if it doesn't, the problem is the work. And I want to be clear about something as we start this season, because a building can make you sound like you've arrived, and arriving is a dangerous thing to believe about yourself. We didn't get a building because we succeeded. We got a building because you kept showing up while we were figuring it out. In borrowed rooms and rented rooms and rooms with bad sight lines and worse parking, you came anyway. So the building isn't a trophy, it's a receipt. Season 15 starts in September, our first season with an address. We are rooted, and we are inviting you to come sit down. Now, before I head out, I do want to invite you personally to our open house on Wednesday, September 2nd, with a wonderful DJ setting the vibes, DJ Saint Monet, some light hors d'oeuvres, a little bit of champagne, and a sneak peek preview of everything I listed on this podcast from our actors. come, mingle, eat, see the inside of our Sanctuary for the Arts, and be rooted with us. Come sit with us. I'm Bleu Do'zia, and this has been the opening of season 2 of Theater Talk, the podcast of Selah Theater Project. And it is an honor to be back after a hectic summer. And before I let you go, one honest thing. Tickets do not cover the costs of making theater. They never have at any theater anywhere. What covers it is people who decide this work should exist and put their money behind that decision. And that's where you all come in. Every dollar, every dime, every nickel, every penny goes right back into our community art reach, into our scholarship funding and accessible performances designed in from the start instead of bolted on later. Selah Theater Project is a 501c3 nonprofit organization, and your gift is tax deductible. Become a Selahrian. Give today, if you so see fit. 15 seasons of unapologetic art. Let's go get 15 more. Take care of each other. Go see something live. And I'll talk to you soon with the amazing cast of Come From Away.
Sometimes you gotta say like,
Bye-bye.
don't speak for a minute, close your eyes, let it be, and say like, it ain't all about what you sing, it's the moments in between. Sometimes you gotta say like, don't speak for a minute.